I'm about to be joined on stage by Bjorn, who is joining us from Oslo. Now, we've just been joined from Liven St Anne's, and we had a couple of a small challenge with connectivity. Let's see how it works from Oslo. How are you, sir?
Hi, Tim. How are you doing? Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Fantastic. I'm not sure if I'm able to speak as fast as Catherine did, but I'll do my best.
We'll try and listen as quickly as you speak. So, Bjorn, would you help us to understand your organization and your role within it, please?
Yeah, so I'm representing Xellia Pharmaceuticals. My role in the company is to be the vice president and heading up the people and organization function. So Xellia Pharmaceuticals includes around 1,800 employees spread across the world. We have production in China, in the US, in Budapest, in Copenhagen, etc. We have customers globally. Most hospitals in the world are our customers. We have R&D in Oslo, in Zagreb. So it's a pretty, I would say, complex setup, mid-sized company, and what we are producing and what we are offering to the patients are life-saving medicine in form of anti-infectives, also different types of antibiotics. And I'm located and speaking out of Oslo, and the leadership team sits in Copenhagen. That's why I normally am in Copenhagen, but not since March actually, due to recent events in the world.
I think recent events is a very good way of summarizing where we are right now. And the work that you and the team have led was recognized within the international category. It's a great example because, as you were just saying, you've got a very international setup. You're working across multiple continents, and quite a complicated supply chain in terms of on the production and also on the logistical side. And what you really focused on was this One Xellia culture in terms of your purpose, behaviors, and leadership. And you've been working on that for several years, the last 4 or 5 years. So can you just take us through that as a case study? Why did you need to change?
Yeah, first of all, I think One Xellia is a part of our cultural platform as such. But just to start, so our cultural platform includes 4 elements, I would say. So one is the purpose of the company, it's the supporting values, it's what we call the leadership promise, and it's also what we call One Xellia, which you referred to. So, and it all started 4 or 5 years ago, as you said, as we were looking down into the strategy and ahead, we saw that there were some major, I would say, challenges outlined in the strategy, things which we had not done before, which there is always some uncertainty around that. Also, a major reorganization of the company was included in that strategy for the next 4 or 5 years. So then we, as a leadership team, we asked ourselves, so looking at that, what is it that really keeps us awake during night? And to no surprise for you, Tim, and for myself, the conclusion was that most of the risks, the uncertainty, etc., was linked to the people aspect of the business. So that was a good starting point then for a further discussion. What do we do? And we decided to attack, to create a culture which would entail, resilience, which would enable us to actually execute on our strategy. So we wanted to be more systemic around our culture than we had been before, which I would say were more, a coincidence. Kind of a nice coincidence in between, but still a coincidence. The first thing we did was to ask some more talented employees and some leaders, and also a couple of the leadership team members joined a group which tried to find out what is our business all about. Good process, many discussions, and we landed on a purpose, which is basically to save and enhance lives. So that was then the birth of the purpose of the company. We also asked the same group, so what would be the values and the behaviors supporting that purpose? And again, I think a good process, good discussions, also including a wider audience, and then at the end defining for significant values supporting the purpose. And then, of course, we wanted to make the whole organization, the 1,800 employees, 1,500 at that point in time, curious about our purpose, about our values. We wanted to make them aware, and we were looking also for some commitment. I would say normally, if the leadership team goes out, or P&O, as myself and my functions, when we go out to share or teach something, there might be a little bit of skepticism, etc., etc., and maybe I would say the distance to embracing something is maybe bigger, longer than if your colleague would be sharing something. So we were heavily relying on that group of people, of employees and leaders who had created the purpose and the values of the company to go out and share through workshops what they had been discussing and defining. Of course, many other supporting activities. We hired a patient, actually, thinking that what we do.
Say that again. You hired a patient.
Yes. I mean, it was a person who had a great, I would say, engagement around a particular one of our products, and who we knew and who we had been inviting before. And at the end, we hired him to go across our network, the company network, to share. Why is he here? How does our product help him survive, etc., etc. So that was one thing we did. Of course, we had a lot of visuals. We also, in the production areas throughout the network, we have morning meetings, discussing how the last shift was in the production environment. There you have yield, and you have all kind of technical metrics. And what we did as well was to add the values and the purpose of the company to that performance board, for example, including this also in all our people, process, etc. So I think we spent a year, 18 months, allowing the organization to absorb the purpose and the values, and taking ownership. And what we saw is that and we could see that on the voice of the workforce survey, that within a very short time, people took ownership of the purpose and the values of the company. Then arriving at that point, we thought it was time to tackle leadership. So again, we asked some talented leaders in the company, and the leadership team kept completely out of this. We asked them to look at the context, the company again, inside out, outside in, the strategy, and asked them, what is the leadership behaviors you think are critical for the next period of time in order to execute on the strategy. Again, a good process. They involve further other colleagues, leader colleagues, and we call them the Transformers group. And they came back with a proposal of 4 distinct, I would say, leadership behaviors, which they then called the leadership promise, which should be our commitment to our employees. The leadership team found them fantastic and had no further comments. And again, we asked this group to be instrumental in order to, I would say, create curiosity, awareness, understanding, and also commitment out in the organization. And I think we'll come back to that a little bit. I think you have other questions as well around that. So that was the third element of the culture foundation. The last one, the One Xellia, is something we worked on in parallel with the leadership promise. You know, when we were with pretty functional driven company, and we know that when you take that and you then implement 2 business units, that might turn either way. You can get a war between the business units, you can get healthy competition, but you don't really know what you get. For us, it was important to have a fantastic collaboration. We have a vertical integrated business value proposition. We are totally in control of our value chain, which is spread between those 2 business units. So we had to make sure that we are, you know, not dividing the company, that we don't have competition, but that we are getting closer to the markets at the same time, ensuring excellent collaboration. So I've been working on that in the same way as we have been working with the leadership promise and the values and the purpose in parallel. So that's the fourth element of what we call our cultural foundation.
This is so rich. There's so many elements here that I know will resonate and inspire our delegates. I mean, just to pick up some of the pieces there, and I had to comment on it. We so often talk about bringing stakeholders, multiple stakeholders in. In fact, I talked about it in our introduction today. You know, how we engage in relationships. You know, yesterday we were talking about regulatory authorities and how they can be brought into cultural development. And you know, for you, you've got those direct relationships with hospitals, for example, who many of us would sort of see as being the customers, you know, but you're going all the way through to the end consumer, being the patient in this case. And I think that's an inspirational approach, and really quite unusual to bring an individual and for them to talk about their experience, so that it's front and center and so purposeful within the organization.
Yeah. And very the reception has been fantastic as well, because people are truly interested and are proud, contributing, you know, to not only one but to millions of people across the globe.
Yeah, and that sense of the words you're using in terms of the way that this has built trust throughout the organization, but also pride. You know, this is, you know, we so often will get questions in terms of that mix between the quantitative and the qualitative, but also between the emotional and the rational. And you're really linking that together with, you know, with your approach. How did this translate into the way that objectives, performance, progress was measured and discussed across the organization?
It's a good question. It's I mean, we the starting point I would say for the leadership team, I think I have been convinced for some years that it would be purposeful to work on the culture in a systemic way, but you know, the trigger for the rest of the leadership team was really to look at the strategy, and there was some heavy lifting in there to execute. And I think what we have seen in hindsight, looking back, is that we have been able to execute on the strategy. So no, I think we have been very successful, you know, reorganizing the company into 2 business units. We have opened a commercial office in Chicago. We have now an approved manufacturing site, one of the biggest one in the US, in Cleveland, FDA approved. And we have also developed the products which we said we will develop. So that was the 4 big ticket items, you know, 4 or 5 years ago. So I think that itself, you know, is good. Is that just to you know, to relate to the culture? Most probably not, but I think it didn't harm. Then also, of course, looking at business results is correspondingly following that. Also, if you look at Voice of the Workforce Surveys, which we conduct almost every year, you will see that the last 4 or 5 years, we had, I would say, a significant improvement in the number of positive answers to the 37 questions. I think we have a significant improvement, I would say. I think also what we see is that our ability to attract talents has improved. I mean, I remember 6-7 years ago when I, were sitting and interviewing talents, I was picturing how I hoped the culture would be once in our company, and hoping that some of them would meet some of it when they arrived at the company. Today, we are telling our story, and I know for a fact that everyone which comes into our company is meeting what they hope for. That's what they're telling us. So I think the ability to attract talents has improved significantly, and also in general we see the willingness to take on a project, task, activities outside people's job description. It's huge throughout the company, and I think you only do that if you thrive, if you believe on a bigger purpose, which is to save and enhance life. So I think we see a variety of indications that we have been successful with that work.
And one final question, because we're always interested in how this aligns back to organizational performance. And I know that there was a specific indicator around business speed, and you've talked about some of the projects and the way that you've grown your international operations there. But just help us to understand the difference in terms of business speed that was identified.
Well, yeah, I think so it's all interlinked. So you need the structure, you need the processes, and then you need the people. And I think we have been working quite well in all three areas. In terms of people, I mean, clearly we have been reducing internal silos, for example. We have been so all the work we did with the culture has been through empowerment. We have been creating trust, empower. I would say, and focused on empowerment. So I think all the work, in that regard, is have a positive impact on speed. If people feel confident, if they know what to do, that creates speed and innovation. And I think that is a product to a big extent because of the work we're doing with the culture the last years.
Excellent. Bjorn, thank you so much. I mean, firstly, congratulations. The change across the organization, the absolute focus and belief in the purpose of the organization is so clear from what you have described. But the thoroughness of the work and the impact on the organizational resilience and performance really comes through as you describe it. So congratulations on the work. Best wishes for the future. And thank you so much for taking the time to share this case study with us.
Thank you, Tim, for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Okay.
All the way from Oslo, everyone. That's fantastic. Not a single glitch on the line. This is the way.
Travel. So
wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.